Okay, well, what's going on here is Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox. He says Xbox is not a free speech platform for politics. What he means is, uh, for people making avatars, for people making usernames, for people saying things. Uh, if they don't like what you say politically, they will ban your account.
Okay.
But either side, right? I mean, obviously he's saying that it's not going to fly here for Microsoft.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what he says.
Hopefully that's what the
This was
message is, because
written
I
by
agree with that message.
Joseph Noop. He says, in a new in-depth interview with the New York Times, Xbox executive vice president Phil Spencer was asked about the connection between gaming and the polarization of American politics, to which Spencer said that Xbox is not a free speech platform and is designed first and foremost for games and entertainment. Spencer discussed the idea of political and social radicalization with the New York Times on Kara Swisher's Sway podcast. During the multi-topic chat focused largely on the emergence of the metaverse concept, Swisher brought up former Trump administration chief strategist and Breitbart founder Steve Bannon, who talked about utilizing Gamergate as a political army. We see all positives and negatives of the human condition. People who propose to each other and get married on Xbox Live, Spencer says about Xbox's online services. We also have conversations about politics and other things that happen. One of the things we've stated about our social network is we're not a free speech platform. We're a platform around interactive entertainment and video games, and we're not there to allow all kinds of social discourse to happen on our platform. That's not why we exist. Says we're not there to allow any conversations to have on our platform. Spencer says, and more than that, Xbox Live is simply not designed for that kind of politicization. It's very difficult to come to Xbox Live and say, okay, I want to go create a political party on the platform. You could kind of twist the tools and try to get there, but it's not just set up for general purpose conversations or community, Spencer says. But it's really set up for community around interactive entertainment and the games that run on our platform. And that's the way we invest. In 2017, Bannon specifically cited Gamergate. This is untrue. It's not a harassment campaign. You can activate that army. They come in through Gamergate or whatever, and then you get turned on to politics and Trump. Swisher referenced social media companies like Facebook and Twitter, driven by ad revenue and other monetization models that are regarded as poorly moderated platforms for hate speech and other types of harassment, and asked Spencer if he thought game companies made their communities more effective. I think we all have a long way to go. You could tell me that's a lame answer. That's all right, Spencer said. Spencer later added that he loves the simply put, if a customer likes what Xbox or other video game studios are doing, they purchase the product, continue subscribing, or invest in some other aspect of the platform. That's very different if I have a passive business model that maybe my customer doesn't even understand, Spencer said. And I think some of the pure ad-driven platforms that are out there, they get themselves stuck in this model because some of the tumultuous topics that they can put out there are the things that drive the most clicks. A relatively firm political statement for the chief of a multi-billion-dollar video game industry giant. Spencer previously commented on the allegations of harassment and sexual discrimination at Activision Blizzard, makers of World of Warcraft, Diablo, and Overwatch, saying that Xbox was evaluating all aspects of the relationship with the studio. The full podcast is worth a listen, especially touches on Activision as well as regulations on games and Netflix's arrival into the game industry as well. So it sounds like it's basically saying, it's not really designed for political speech. It's not designed for hate speech. What do you think about this, Gary? You seem to have the most.
I mean, I think he basically said what I said at the beginning, that it was designed for entertainment, right? I mean, the Xbox wasn't designed to get politically charged and go on, party chats and fight with people. It's there to have a good time. It's there to enjoy experiences together and get back to playing video games and having as much fun as you can. with that sort of stuff. So I totally agree. I mean, if you're going to condemn both sides and say, hey, look, this is just not the place for it, go somewhere else, that's perfectly fine. Like I said, politics don't belong in video games unless, like you said, Tony, they're specifically designed into the video game. But real world politics don't belong. And if that's the message here, I totally agree with it 100%.
The only politics I want to ever talk about are Skyrim politics.
Anthony EFX says it was designed to own noobs. I
There
think
you go.
I think this is a good message from Phil Spencer. I know people are probably going to twist this around into saying that it's not free speech. They are
It's a great
free speech.
I like what he said.
Yeah.
Well, no, you're right,
yeah.
Tony. I think if somebody just happens to just not read it, like we've said in the past, obviously they're going to be able to twist that. But his message there was, look, we want Xbox to be an enjoyable place for everybody to come and and have fun while they're playing our games, and that's a great message to have.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, full agreement with Phil Spencer on this. The only caveat I would say is if they are unfairly, banning one side or the other, or one type of content versus another, I think that would be an issue. But if they're treating it fairly down the line, I think that's not a problem. It's a private company at the end of the day. Blind Braille is correct. But I do think that even a private company needs to, at the very least, clearly lay out, if you want to be a left-wing company, then just say, hey, guys, this is a left-wing company. We don't want any right-wing politics. We'll ban you. Just make it clear in the rules right up front.
Mm-hmm.
I think where companies get into trouble is they want to be left-wing or right-wing or crazy or whatever, but they don't want you to know, right? They just want you to, because they want you to use the platform, and
Right.
then they just kick you off. Oh, we didn't tell you that we don't like, Gary's, but we want your money, Gary. But now we're going to kick you off the platform. I think that's where you run the issues. Blind Braille. Unlike YouTube, who loves us, Susan Wojcicki is a big fan of this show. YouTube is the greatest platform ever. I love it. Please monetize me.
Cyrus, I actually talked to Cyrus about this once. He's of the opinion that YouTube won't last as a platform. Also, by the way, G10 whatever, it's the Stormcloaks for life, not the Forsworn. The Forsworn can kiss my ass. So
that's what he should change his name to now, is G10 whatever.
G10 whatever.
I'm terrible at remembering these names. I really am.
I just call him G10. G10.
Okay, that works.
As far as YouTube lasting, I think that's another conversation we could have if you want, separate from this one. But I think Xbox not being a free speech platform is not an issue. As long as everything is fair up front, they let you know what's going on, what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable. I think where people get into the trouble is they want to be free speech absolutionists, but like way beyond what should be acceptable. I mean, there are certain things like doxing obviously should not be a free speech issue. Harassment is not a free speech issue.
Well, can I be real?
What's that, Carl?
Yeah.
Can I be real about give my thoughts on free speech?
This is a real show where we be real, so you're allowed to be real.
I mean, free speech, to me, it pertains to talking about the government. But otherwise, whatever you say comes with consequence.
Yeah, there are. I think consequences are different from people expunging you from society or cancel culture. Consequences would be things like getting fired for making racist statements, or having your girlfriend dump you for saying things that are insensitive, or
Did
for
you
having
get
your
dumped?
audience get really upset if you decide to go against what they believe in. Right? Those are consequences. You shouldn't be kicked off of
Hmm.
YouTube for being left wing or right wing or up wing or down wing or
I agree.
chicken wing or whatever wing. Um, so I think those things are different. I think people need to realize that. Um, we have safeguards in place in society already. We don't need cancel culture. Uh, if someone doesn't like, we have the freedom of association here in the United States, and most places have something similar. If I don't like you, I don't have to associate with you. I'm not forced to have Carl on this platform. He's here because I like
Yeah.
him.
Hmm.
Gary does force me to put him on the show. He has threatened my life if I don't let him on. Uh, please help me. He's kidnapped me. I'm in his basement.
By the way, guys, in reference to Elder Scrolls 6 or Starfield, I relatively don't care that much. If Todd Howard wants to cancel both because I shit on him, I can't do anything about it.
Mike Garcia says YouTube is the mainstream now. That's why it's heavily censored. I remember when the internet was anti-censorship long ago. Well, here's the thing. There's always a limit to everybody's idea of free speech or what is or isn't censorship. It is
Hmm.
not censorship to have rules. Even if you don't agree with the rules, right? If they say there's no swearing in church and the church kicks you out for swearing, that is not censorship. They're not censoring you. They're telling you to leave because you don't fit
And
in.
yeah,
You know, uh, you can't run into a mosque and start tossing bacon around. They'll ask you to leave because that's inappropriate. It's not censorship. They're not censoring your political statement. They're just saying you're being an ass and they would like you to leave.
yeah, you really can say whatever you want. That's just the truth.
Right? Censorship
Mm.
would be more akin to the government coming in and telling you you're not allowed to say something, or a corporation
I
telling you that
mean,
your thoughts are incorrect and
if you want to
you're only allowed.
study, if you want to a good example of censorship, they actually have various videos about World War One and the use of censorship in those times.
Yeah, if a company tells you that you're only allowed to think, have a certain opinion, that would be censorship. Now, if a company says, "Hey, we don't allow X, Y, or Z on our platform," and you decide to do it anyway, that's not censorship. Again, that is you
Ye-
breaking the rules. It's like no shoes, no shirt, no service, and you go in there barefoot, and they're like, "Dude, you gotta leave." They're not censoring you, right? They have a rule, and you
Let's
didn't follow the rule.
let's use a good example here. So let's take your average publication, newspaper, whatever you want to call it, and an article has been completely blacked out. That is censorship.
Anthony EFX says, "Mike Garcia, what do you mean? I used to get my AOL account banned for just cursing in chat rooms long, long ago." Yeah, well, you
Yeah, the
probably
good old days.
shouldn't have been cursing in the chat rooms.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. If it's it's their platform, they can make the rules. But the bending of the rules is what I have a problem with. When you're gonna let other people go against terms of service, and then that just to me is just wrong in every way. I mean, it's fine if you don't want a certain political view on your you know
Oh,
in
I
your
agree.
Here's where I'm going to disagree with Gary. I like to disagree on the show a lot. When people say that, like you're allowing certain people to break the rules, it's not as clear cut as people make it seem. It's not like Gary's uploading porn and they're like, "Oh no, Gary's fine to upload porn. You just can't upload porn, Tony." No, it's usually like I'll be like, I got my porn taken down. Gary uploads porn. Like, well, we didn't know Gary uploaded porn. That's why we haven't struck him yet. Now that you brought it to our attention, we're going to strike Gary too.
Gary, what kind of porn are you uploading?
The good kind, Carl.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you'll see that a lot. Someone will be like, my channel got struck for watching a movie. I watched Batman on YouTube, and my channel got struck. But Jim watches Batman, and it's like, well, maybe Jim just didn't get caught. If I get arrested for stealing, I can't point at other people and be like, they all stole and you didn't catch them, so I get to go free. That's not how it works. That's not how society functions. You are an individual. You have individual consequences for your individual actions. Just because someone else gets away with something, just because someone else hasn't gotten caught, doesn't excuse your actions or mean that your actions should be allowable. I think people need to realize this. Now, Blind and Braille says it's not even about free speech on YouTube. It's about gaming the system and making as much money as possible while saying you care about free speech. He follows it up with saying YouTube will penalize you for making content you want to and doesn't break terms of service. Sometimes, I mean, they penalize you because the algorithm is a bitch. Sometimes you get penalized because, like I said, you just got caught and other people didn't. Blind and Braille says, yeah, Twitch does do that. Twitch, there are good examples where streamers like Pokimane will clearly break the rules and get a slap on the wrist, while others will do similar things and get, permanent bans. That is unfair. It's not equal treatment.
Well, no,
says it's kind of messed up when YouTube changes terms of service overnight and your past uploads that didn't previously violate terms of service now get struck down. That is kind of messed up. I haven't been on YouTube that long as a content creator, so I don't know if they give you a heads up like, hey, we're changing terms of service in like 6 months or something, or they literally just do it overnight. Because a lot of times you'll find that people on YouTube, big YouTubers, who are like, oh my God, I didn't know, or YouTube never told me this thing, or they changed it. Before it was allowable, but now it's not suddenly. Like, they know. They're just playing dumb. They just thought, well, it was an old upload, so I don't think I was going to get caught. You'll see that a lot. So sometimes if you hear these stories, they're not exactly accurate.
I'm going to go. I'm getting kind of tired, so I'll talk to y'all later.
Carl's leaving us.
You're leaving us, Carl.
Oh, by the way, Ninja Kitty, drop the shoe jokes, okay? It's getting old.
Drop the who jokes. Ninja Kitty's not even here. Well, Carl has left us. See right here, Loki Doki says YouTube email you with possible changes in advance. Yeah, I think people just throw out there. You're like, oh, email from YouTube, just delete. Blinded says Tony, they don't for certain people. Of course, they go silent moments sometimes, but it rarely happens. Yeah, I mean, there are things that happen. I'm not saying clear cut across the board. That it doesn't happen. I'm just saying clear cut across the board. I'm not saying it does happen either. Like, there are probably extenuating circumstances behind a lot of things that people don't want to discuss or they don't want to admit. I've seen YouTubers complain that their videos got struck or taken down for things that clearly violated terms of service, but they pretend like it didn't, or they played dumb. But Xbox being not a free speech platform, to bring it back around, is fine. Like I said, as long as they go right down the middle and uphold all their rules, make them clear, say these are the rules, these are the penalties for breaking the rules, and they enforce it across the board, I don't think it's a problem.